Multi-factor authentication is a must-have in today's modern age. Let's talk about that. So hello, my name is Zachary Heinel with Dorado Defense. We're going to talk about 4 different use cases of why multi-factor authentication is important to your business. So the first one and most obvious answer is that it enhances your security. So it enhances your security around your authentication, you proving to different systems that you are who you say you are. So let's say that I'm an attacker and I'm trying to be an imposter in your system, pretend that I'm you. Well, there are 3 different ways that I could do that traditionally. It's either something you know, something you have, or something you are. Most oftentimes, passwords are something that you know. Now, there are different systems, different things that you can have in place, but in the traditional sense, it's something you know. So you have a system and MFA enhances your security of that system by adding an additional factor. So it's not just something you know, it's now something you are or something you have. The most common sense is something you have, such as a mobile phone. It might be access to your email, a certain device, an OTP, a one-time password token. There are multiple different levels and devices that you can do to enhance your security, which kind of talks about the second point that I'm going to make is that there are a variety of methods available to you so that you can choose the means that makes the most sense for your business. Now, if you're just a small, normal business, you're probably going to go on to your smartphone, download an application, Google Authenticator, Duo, something of that nature, where it's going to be a software-based OTP. It's going to be a simple thing on your phone. You can pull up a code, and that's your 2-factor authentication, or you're going to receive a text, or a phone call. Those are simple methods that are cost-effective most of the time for your businesses. Now, as you get into more sensitive data, you can have, RSA key fobs. You can have a bunch of different devices that kind of go up in assurance that you are who you say you are when you're authenticating to different systems. One of the things that I'm a fan of is having a little key fob, OTP, and unless the actual algorithm gets hacked somehow, that's a pretty secure method for authentication as your 2-factor authentication. Now, the third point with MFA is going to be cost effective. You have to make a proper business case for it. Thinking back when I used to work within the construction industry, we had specific workers that were just field workers. They had no access to email and nothing else. And then you had different sets of users that had access to email and more sensitive information. So what we did there was, where the risk didn't make sense, we didn't implement 2-factor authentication because those workers didn't actually have access to anything sensitive. They literally answered some questions about what they worked on that day, which, depending on the projects, yes or no, but most of the time it wasn't, And you had other users that, yes, they had access to sensitive information and they always had 2-factor authentication for those systems that require that sensitive information. So you have to implement it in a cost-effective manner that makes sense for the business. And this is where businesses need to understand their application. What's risky? And the 2 riskiest things that I can think of for any user, it doesn't matter what business job they fill, but the 2 riskiest things that almost all users have access to is internet and email. If they have access to those 2 things, they should require 2-factor authentication for the majority, or at least a good portion, of their business-related tools that they need to access. And then finally, the 4th thing that MFA does for us is compliance and best practices. So as you're a business and you're going out and getting cybersecurity insurance, you're bidding on different projects, those projects and those insurance providers may require you to put multi-factor authentication on different systems. Could be email, could be your customer relations manager, different things where they require that you do two-factor authentication or multi-factor authentication. So these are a few different ways that information security and MFA specifically can help you with your business. My name is Zachary Heinel with Dorado Defense. Have a great day.